Everyone's optimizing their morning routine, their to-do lists, their focus blocks, their deep work sessions, and yet, most of them are still broke. Not because they're lazy, not because they're unproductive, but because nobody stopped to ask the question that actually matters. Is all of this productivity actually helping to move the needle on your net worth? Or is it just busy work, making you feel busy? Because there's a version of productivity that hustle culture sells you that has almost nothing to do with building wealth. And then there's a version the wealthy actually practice that almost nobody talks about. And today, we're getting into the difference between those two versions. Hey, I'm Alex and welcome to Wealth Unspoken. I used to be obsessed with productivity. I read every book, I watched every video, I had the perfect morning routine, I journaled, meditated, and time-blocked my entire day. I was incredibly productive and completely broke. Not because productivity is bad, but because I was being productive at all the wrong things. Here's what nobody in the productivity space tells you. Busyness and wealth building are not the same thing. Actually, for a lot of people, being busy is the thing keeping them from building wealth. Because when you're always doing, always going, always optimizing, and always executing, you never stop to ask, what should I actually be doing? That question, that one question, is worth more than any morning routine you'll ever build. What hustle culture actually teaches is more output equals more success, more hours equals more results, more tasks completed equals more progress. And on the surface, that sounds right and good. Work hard, get rewarded. But wealth doesn't work that way. The wealthiest people I've ever studied are not the busiest. They're the most intentional. There's a massive difference between being busy and being strategic. Busy people fill their days. Strategic people protect their days. Busy people measure their effort. Strategic people measure their outcomes. Busy people feel productive. Strategic people build wealth. I had a mentor once who worked maybe 4 hours a day. I thought he was lazy. Then I found out his net worth. He definitely wasn't lazy. He had figured out that most of what we call productivity is just expensive busy work dressed up as ambition. So, what does wealth-building productivity actually look like? Well, it comes down to one question, one filter applied to everything you spend your time on. Does this move my net worth forward? Does this activity move my net worth forward? Not does this feel productive, not does this make me look busy, not does this check a box, but does this move my net worth forward? When I started applying this, my schedule looked completely different within a month. Meetings that felt important, gone. Tasks I was doing out of habit, eliminated. Optimizations that felt productive but changed nothing, poof, gone. What was left? A much shorter list. But everything on that shorter list actually mattered. The wealthy have an instinct for this. They ruthlessly eliminate anything that doesn't move the needle on building wealth, because they understand that time spent on the wrong things is not neutral. It actively costs you. Here's the productivity habit that actually builds wealth. It's not a morning routine. It's not a task manager. It's not deep work or time blocking. It's protecting your attention for the things that compound. Attention is the real currency. Not time, not money. Attention. Because here's what happens when your attention is scattered. Across notifications, meetings, busy work, or social media, you never think deeply enough about the decisions that actually matter. Where should I put this money? What should I be building? What opportunity am I missing because I'm too busy? Those questions require attention. Real, undistracted attention. Wealthy people guard their attention the same way they guard their capital. Both compound and both deplete if you're not careful. When I started treating my attention like an asset, when I stopped letting everyone and everything make withdrawals from it freely, the quality of my decisions changed completely. And the quality of your decisions is what determines the quality of your financial life. Now, here's how to actually use productivity to build wealth. Here's 3 changes that you can start applying. First, measure results, not activity. Stop counting how many tasks you checked off. Start asking, what did I actually create today? What moved the needle? What keeps working for me after today is over? If the answer is nothing, then the day probably wasn't productive, no matter how full it felt. Second, protect one wealth-building hour every day. 1 hour at a minimum. Protect it. It's non-negotiable. Used only for things that grow your future, like learning, building, planning, and investing. At least 1 hour a day. That alone can change everything. Third, audit your busy. Once a week, look at where your time really went and ask yourself honestly, how much of that actually moved my life forward? And how much of it was just distraction dressed up as productivity? The answer will be uncomfortable, but do it anyway, because the audit is where the clarity lives, and clarity is what separates the productive but broke folks from the quietly wealthy folks. Hustle culture taught people how to stay busy, but nobody really taught them how to work on the right things. The perfect morning routine won't make you wealthy. A color-coded to-do list won't make you wealthy. Even those focus timers and productivity hacks, it's not enough. Wealth gets built when you consistently put your best energy, your clearest thinking, and your best hours into things that actually grow over time. Not the things that look productive, but the things that actually build something. Protect your attention, pay attention to results, and question your busy. And ask yourself every single day, did this actually move my life forward financially? Because that question changes everything. Most self-improvement content never talks about it, but wealthy people, they've quietly been thinking this way for years. I'm Alex, and this was Wealth Unspoken. See you next time.